A woman refusing to let her homeless friend and her bum boyfriend move in with her is being backed online. Using key readings, recently posted her dilemma to Reddit's True Off My Chest forum, where people can anonymously share their personal issues with the web. The 26-year-old said she and her best friend used to party together. Despite her straightening up her life and leaving the party scene behind, the two are still close. The friend and her boyfriend have recently become homeless. The pair shared an apartment with another couple, but were evicted for not paying rent. They are currently living in a hotel, but money is tight. All right, I can tell you right off the bat, when you have two people who are living with roommates, and those two people living with the roommates cannot pay the rent between the two of them, there is no way I would want to step into that fire pit. So they're living in a hotel, and of course, hotels are always more expensive than paying rent. And there are people out there, and they will say things like, how come a person who's living in a hotel just doesn't get an apartment? Why would they rather pay, $300-400 a week for a hotel when an apartment is equal or cheaper? Well, here's the problem. A lot of apartments, especially now more than ever, the apartments are requiring first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. And if you have a pet, there's even more money on top of that. And let's take a look at what an apartment rent really is right now. Let's just take a $2,000 a month. Oh, heck, we won't even go 2000. Let's take $1,500 a month, one bedroom apartment. This is a one bedroom. And keep in mind, I'm here in Tampa, and even finding a one bedroom apartment for 1,500 in a neighborhood you want can be a challenge. I'm going to say you're going to go closer to 17, 1,800, but I'm really bad at math, so we're going to keep it really simple. So you need to come up with first month and last month. Well, there's 3,000 right there. Plus, you may have a pet, so add on a few hundred extra for that as well, not including the cost of moving. Now, I know we like to assume that everybody can just throw the stuff in the back of their VW Volkswagen, if you were in the 70s, of course, okay, and just hightail it to the next place. It's not necessarily that easy. In my case, because of my arthritis, I am done physically moving my stuff, like forever and ever. I am done physically boxing, moving. It is too difficult. Even just to stay here for an afternoon and try to box things up, I can pay a physical price for it for a couple of days. So you are looking at people who may need to come up with, let's just say, $4,000. And again, we're just assuming this is about a $1,500 a month place. You start looking at a place that's 2,000. Well, now first and last month, you're talking 4,000 there on top of low budget moving if you can do most of it yourself. So if you have already not paid rent, you are with another person and the two of you cannot pay rent together, there is no way you're going to be able to come up with first month's, last month's security, pet, and all of that stuff. This is why when we look at people and we go, why are they paying $400 a week to stay in a motel? That's as much as an apartment. The motel doesn't require first and last months. We always have to remember that. The article goes on to say, I offered her shelter, but the dogs and the quote, bum boyfriend, however, wouldn't be welcome. She explained that the boyfriend has been unemployed for the majority of the couple's 3 to 4 year relationship, choosing to stay home and play video games. All right, I'll continue on. We will get back to that. Along with not liking the boyfriend, the writer said her apartment is very small and unable to accommodate three people and two large dogs. She also has an infant son and refuses to let the situation affect his well being. Let's look at this paragraph right here, this sentence. She explained that the boyfriend has been unemployed for the majority of their 3 to 4 year relationship and chooses to stay at home. Why would you want to bring that bum behavior, and not including the bum boyfriend? Why would you want to bring that into your house? You absolutely do not want to bring that into your house. So, and this Redditor who has grown up, left the party scene, all right? She's now a responsible adult. So she's going, I'm going to bring in someone I used to, let's get real here, okay? I used to party with in college who doesn't have a job, clearly doesn't pay the rent. And since her boyfriend doesn't work, I am beginning to wonder why they possibly got evicted. The boyfriend wasn't willing to work, okay? And then they've got two large dogs. I really believe if you can afford a pet, you are not yet broke. You are broke when you can no longer afford the pet. So long, and they've got two large dogs. What does that cost to feed two large dogs? $50 a month? I don't know. I don't have dogs. $1,500 a month? Okay, probably at least you got two of them. So why would anyone who is now a responsible parent want to bring in a couple of vagrants? I would say these people probably need to get on TikTok. They become one of those TikTok beggars that we see, and I put up here on my channel. So she has an infant son. Yeah. Why? And also you have an infant son, pets. Children can have reactions and allergies to pets. And what do you think the grooming condition is of these pets? Okay. And again, yeah, she got a man, right? The bum, her, what is it? Her best friend, I guess. Okay. I guess they're obviously still good friends, but her best friend has a bum boyfriend. Ever known people where you're like, man, my friend is great, but the person they're hanging out with just doesn't want to hold a job. I've known people like that. And my rule is it's not my relationship. So if they're with someone that doesn't want to hold a job, that's fine. However, it is not going to impact me. It's fine if you want to be with someone who doesn't wish to work. Power and blessings to you. But when it results in your eviction, and then you come to me and say, hey, I want to drag my bum boyfriend or girlfriend, okay, and two dogs along with me. No, you're not. My place, I don't allow pets in my place. If I ever have a pet in this place, it's going to be a purebred, probably, what is it, Shih Tzu, okay? And that's going to be about it. I don't allow big dogs in my place. And I do have friends that do have pets. And, I just, pets in my place are not allowed unless it is my personal pet. The friend was unhappy with the writer's response, accusing her of being jealous of their relationship. Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the non-working boyfriend you have that allowed you and him to both get evicted because apparently neither one of you wanted to Grubhub. Like I said, these are your future TikTok beggars. So her friend is accusing her of being jealous of her relationship. Yeah, okay. She said she's not leaving him and that I'm a lousy friend. I love her to death, but the jealous of her relationship comment makes me not care. I don't even care if they sleep in their car or the sidewalk. Fellow writers support her decision with the story receiving 5,500 upvotes. Okay. We are, as adults, we are responsible for ourselves. Nobody's responsible for putting a roof over my head or anything else. Yes, I have siblings. They have the roof over their own head. And I guarantee it to you, they would not be happy if I called them and said, hey, I'm moving in. I chose to be irresponsible. I'm moving in. These are the type of people I can pretty much tell you once they move in, they're not moving out. And you know how come I know? Because they just got kicked out of the place that they were at with other roommates. So figure, you got two people. You're already splitting the rent with someone else and you can't keep that up. So why do you want the deadbeats on your couch? I love my sisters dearly. I do not expect that I could just call them up and say, I'm moving in. And we may sit and, it really is to some extent. Okay. It is a test because you have to look at who's moving in, how motivated are they to move out. Now, my sisters and I, without a doubt, we would help each other. We would not leave each other stranded. Just not going to happen. Okay. I would take in my sibling. I would probably have to move my studio deck into the other room. I would let them have this room, which means I only live in 840 square feet. We'd be hightailing it to the living room family. Okay. They would have this room and I would give them the space to heal, to recover, to do what they needed to do to get out. Okay. That's just what I would do. Now, if I were married, you have to take into consideration when you have a partner. Okay. And then I think that needs to be a mutual consideration that this person comes in. So there are a lot of things you have to look at. And as you know, when you allow someone to move in, okay, I have always preached, don't allow them to use this don't allow them to use your address as their official address, because if they do, it gives them, it's one more notch to give them legal residency to your place, to the point where you can only evict them through a court order. Now, my sisters and I, we would not put ourselves through that. I can 99% assure that. But beyond taking the risk of immediate family, would I do it for other people? No. Except with the exception of three other people I know. I would do it for three other people and that's it. But they're people I've known for a very, very long time. You're talking near the 20-year mark and over. These are not just casual friends. And I don't know, their relationship may also have been that, yeah, they may have been great friends in college, but it seems like they kind of perhaps maybe separated in the way they conducted their lives. So one decided to, still be playing and having a boyfriend who chooses not to work. And the other one said, you know what, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to become a parent. Not that you have to become a parent to be responsible. I'm not a parent. But they just seem to have led two totally different lives. Knowing someone from the past does not obligate you to help them now that it is their future. It's no obligation for that. And what I would do to turn, if you're trying to ease some guilt, help them get resources. Say, okay, so you need a place to live. You know what? I'm going to help you with resources for community resources, shelter resources, and whatnot. But when you start calling me names and start telling me, just like what she was saying up here, accusing her of being jealous of her relationship, this writer is not jealous of her friend and her bum boyfriend. 100% guaranteed to you. It's just that her loser of a friend and the bum boyfriend, they're trying to lash out the only way they know how for lack of their own responsibility and caring for their own life. So yeah, I agree with the writer. After a while, it's like sleep in your car. If you want to be with someone who sits and play games all day on the couch, then why do I care if you sleep in your car? More power to you. But I'm not sleeping in the car with you, and you're certainly not bringing your load of manure into my place. What to do if you hate your friend's partner? You think your friend is amazing, so it can be tough to see them with someone who isn't worthy of their affection. Still, should you interfere if you don't like your pal's partner? My immediate answer is no. It's not your business who your friends date. A 2016 study found that support from friends and family can make or break a romance. If a person's loved ones like their partner, then the couple is more likely to stay together. Well, animosity can drive a wedge in the relationship. Yeah, I think that's probably true the younger you are. I think when you get older, don't care. Okay, when you're in your 20s and 30s and, family, babies, children, all that stuff, okay, there may be some family influence. Once you hit your 50s and 60s and you're remarrying, I'm sorry, I don't give a crap what anybody thinks. When you are past the family raising stage and all of that, this point in my life, I don't look for approval from people as to whether or not they like my partner. That would be insignificant. Marnie Goldman, she's a coach and author, says you can't dictate who someone dates. All you can do is be supportive and let them know you'll be there if the relationship breaks down. Actually, I disagree with that. No, I don't think you have to be supportive. That doesn't mean go out and be mean. Okay. The assumption that you're going to be supported, it's nice if you are. Okay. It's nice if you want to support, but you don't have to. But if I choose not to support, I'm also going to choose not to be mean about it either. Okay. This is my friend's significant other. Neither here nor there. Care, don't care. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. And to say you'll be there if the relationship breaks down, I don't know. It depends. There are too many variables to just sit and say, I'll be there if the relationship breaks down. I'm just saying, I think they're simplifying it a bit. In general, yes, I can be supportive, I guess. And in general, I'll be there if the relationship breaks down, I guess. There are too many factors to just make that a blanket statement, in my opinion. For the most part, yes, I'll be supportive if that's who you like. I actually have a couple friends that I'm not particularly crazy about their significant. Okay. Just, but it's their life. They're happy. It doesn't affect me. So we're good. And if their relationship breaks up, well, that's also, I'm here for that too. So I guess as long as she's talking in general terms, it's infuriating watching from the sidelines a friend who is deserving of love being treated with disrespect and cruelty. But remember, we're all human and really try to be non-judgmental. I think that's a little hard. I think that's a little hyperbolic. It's infuriating watching from the sidelines a friend who is deserving. What's infuriating about that? Why would I let who my friends are dating infuriate me? Maybe I need to let go a little. Okay, I think that's a little hyperbolic. Nevertheless, this author and coach recommends setting boundaries to protect your mental health and help your friendship to survive. Our energy and time are so precious. We can't live our life worried about others. Good Lord, does this author just sit around and sometimes these life coaches and stuff, you sit and you wonder to yourself, God, do they just come up with problems where there are none? No, I've never been infuriated because someone that I know or like, a friend of mine dated someone that I didn't particularly like. It's never infuriated me. I've never really spent my life worried about it. And you wonder why sometimes don't like therapy. Okay. Sometimes I think they look for things that aren't there. But I'm getting off on that. Okay. So don't want to is it digress too far? Setting boundaries protect your mental health. Okay. I will tell you a boundary I did set um, with one person I know. Okay. And the boundary was really simple. Okay. Because, she's in a relationship. She likes the relationship. He doesn't work. Okay. Whatever. All right. When he does work, it's very rare. Meanwhile, I work, 10-hour days. Okay. As many of you out there probably do too. All right. Because, I do my teaching job. I do a little side hustle after that. Still at my teaching job, which is really nice. But then the big other job is YouTube. So yeah, where I put in 10, 11-hour days very easily. Um, Basically, I didn't like, it's not that I don't like her significant. Okay. I just don't approve the fact that he doesn't work. And so did set some boundaries, and she respects most boundaries. And that is, I don't drive us anywhere. I'll drive her anywhere she wants to go. All right. She's my direct friend, but I'm not willing to drive her significant more than just if we're just, like a mile or so. And that's it. And the reason being is, look, I work for my car insurance. I work for my car, my gas, I work long hours. She works long hours. My friend, she's a hustler, and I love her for it. But she has a significant who don't do that. Okay? Um, and he likes to go and visit family from time to time in Texas. So it's like, okay, well, you're off visiting your family in Texas. And she and I are back here working our heinies off. And then you want to go do something, and my car is going to be the one that's used. My rule is really simple. No, it's not. I will take my car and I will take her, and he can go in his car. And we've done that a couple of times, and she understands why, and I understand why. I don't know if he does, but chances are he probably wouldn't care. I'm not a sexist person, but I am gonna say I have just ever so a touch of sexism in me, and that is bringing on a guy that can't do anything but sit around the house. Now, I'm not talking bringing on someone because I'm getting older, so it's I could very well marry someone who's already done their service and they're retired and they've got their pension savings and we're all good. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you're in your working years. Okay. You've not yet retired. Now, if you're retired and you got your pension savings going on, God bless you, regardless of age. Okay. But in this particular situation, no, we young and hardy still. Yes, even with bad knees, I still got a lot of work left in me. All right. And, this particular person, this friend of mine, chooses to date someone. Like I said, he's got family in Texas and he goes to Texas like twice a year to go visit them. And then when he's here, he doesn't even work. So I don't want to be a part of that. I choose not to. And it was sensitive in how I told her. It's like I brought her over to my place and I'm just like, look, I love you dearly, but I'm just not so crazy about, and I didn't say, I don't like your boyfriend. I didn't put it like that. All I said was, I don't feel comfortable, transporting your significant other around and accepting the liability. And that's just pretty much how I took it. Now, and somebody could have said, well, what happens? She said, no. Then I would say, I'm sorry, but it's my car, my insurance, my gas. I override all of it. Just like your car, your insurance, and your gas. You would override it. I will help anyone who will help themselves. I will not help someone who will not help themselves. And when I'm working 10-hour days and then you need a ride to the restaurant or the airport, wherever it is you need to go, or we go as a group of 3 or 4, sometimes, we'll even take other people along with us, dinner out, whatever. No, I'm not taking them. Not doing it. So that's where I kind of stand on it. So do I live my life worried about others? Nope. And neither should you. No is the only thing you need to say. Reddit users believe the writer made the right call and urged her not to give in to her friend's request. I'm at the point in my life, and maybe some of you are too. You don't have to urge me. I'm confident in my decision. Okay. Ain't no urging. You don't need to urge me and go, oh, God, Carrie, please don't take them in. No, I'm not taking them in. Neither should you. See, you get to an age. This is the greatest thing I think about being in my 50s. You make decisions and you have confidence. You don't need to go looking for nobody's approval. And seriously, that I think is probably one of the greatest things about being in my 50s. I didn't even have that in my 40s. Of course, in my 40s, I was busy getting dumped, but that's another story. Okay. But you get into your 50s and you're like, no, these are boundaries. I know what they are. I'm comfortable with it. Like it, don't like it. I hear your side. I hear your point. but these are my boundaries. And of course, I always make those boundaries with the thought of what is also good for my friend. I don't think of it in terms of just me. So I did think of it in terms of what was good for my friend. What's good for my friend is she knows she can call me up if she needs to go someplace. When we go out together, she can come in my car. I will take that blessed woman anywhere. I just won't take the person that she chooses to date. I'm just not going to do it. Let her in, Reddit user said, and when you come home from work, the boyfriend and the dogs will be there. Once they're in, good luck getting rid of them. They'll be content to mooch. Somebody else said, don't bring anybody into your space that has a track record of bad decisions. Let them figure it out. Someone else wrote, your priority is your infant and yourself. You don't need a large dog and a jobless man. It is really unattractive. And I admit it is sexist when, if you find out, let's say a guy's in his 30s and lives at home and a woman's in her 30s and lives at home, who do we give more negative judgment to? The guy in his 30s living at home, though we technically should not. It should be pretty much equal. I think with both situations, it depends upon why you're living at home. Some people have really elderly parents and it really helps to have a child living there. I totally get it. I support that. I think the question is are you lazy living at home? See, that to me that would be the entire thing. Are you lazy living at home? Are you in your mama's basement on TikTok begging? Or are you actually going to work all day and then you're coming home at night, you're helping out your parents? You see what I mean? We can't make a straight judgment on it, but there is something about a couple living with other roommates and that couple cannot pay their share of the rent. A Reddit user suggested the friendship had run its course. Yeah, it just may have. Someone wrote, you sometimes grow out of relationships and into new ones. You've grown out of this relationship into that of a parent. And no is the only thing you need to say. Just say no. Don't forget, starting next week on Friday, uploads are at 8 a.m. because school starts. Bye, everyone.